Okay, so let's go through this just for a moment. This idea that Social Security is drying up on the vine and that it's just going away. Please explain, if I did not do so thoroughly enough, why that is not only not true, but actually dangerous to the program.
Oh, it's just false. It's a lie. You know, it's about as true as George Santos having stormed the beaches of Normandy, Joy.
Wait a minute, he didn't storm the beaches of Normandy?
I think the truth of the matter is that around 2035, just as happened many times in the past, including in 1986, because of demographic changes, adjustments will be made to make sure that Social Security is there for the next generation. President Biden has put forward, and many others have, the proposal to raise the cap on the income subject to Social Security. Right now, the cap is about $160,000. So for people who earn much, much more than that, and there are a lot of folks that do, they don't pay taxes on most of their income, unlike most Americans.
Yeah.
So that's a common sense proposal that actually most Republicans support.
Well, and just to explain, just so people understand that, you pay that FICO tax on the first $160,000 of your income, right, even if you make $1 bazillion. Right. Everybody who makes $1 bazillion, they don't pay taxes because they get that as a business. But let's just say you earned a paycheck that was $4 million. You only pay on 160. If you just inch that up, you'd fix it. One of the other issues is that if you look, I just want to put up a little chart. I love charts and graphs. I'm a nerd. And it shows what has to be spent by the federal government. There's the kind of spending that is discretionary, meaning defense spending, which is a big chunk of that. Sure. There's things like social programs, food stamps, things like that. But then there's Social Security and Medicare. They're not discretionary, right? It's not like the government could say, you know what, we feel broke and we're not going to pay it. They have to pay it. That's right. I mean, this is something that, as you know, is like vital for most Americans. It turns out that something like half of Americans rely on Social Security for half of their income. And so we're talking about maybe 20 million Americans who would go into poverty if Social Security weren't there for them. So that's why it's so vital for us to make sure that we keep our promise. And because it's a mandatory spending program, we have to, under the law. Under the law. And you know, Chile tried this. I think even during Pinochet, they tried it. And even he said, no, that's going too far, right? Because it was a disaster. What wound up happening is that if you took that Social Security trust fund, handed it to Wall Street firms, which they would love to get their hot little hands on it, and they gambled it in the stock market and then lost it, they would still get their fees. Well, look at last year. Yes. The S&P was down 20%. That's right. So just imagine if we had invested that Social Security trust fund in the stock market in any given year, and you experienced that type of loss, what you'd see is what you saw in the United Kingdom when they attempted to do something similar, which is bailouts. The government ends up bailing out these funds. We go into further debt, and we're worse off than where we are right now. And so this is my challenge, is that the Republicans are not having a real debate on this. Some of them are saying, like Lindsey Graham did, that we should raise the retirement age, I don't know, 77 or 99 or whatever, so no one ever gets it. You have people who want to privatize it. The two things they don't want to talk about, right now you're about 2 workers for every retiree. Because it's basically, it used to be 3 to 1. There were 3 people actively working to pay for 1 retiree. It's now 2 to 1. Immigration would fix that. You know what? A little tax increase, a little immigration will fix it. You hit the nail on the head. I'm a legal immigrant myself. I'm from India. I came here when I was 3 months old. And we're down by millions of immigrants right now. That's right. These are younger workers, people who pay into the system, support our social safety net. The other thing that we have to do, Joy, is today only 1/3 of Americans have a 4-year college degree. For the 2/3 of Americans who do not, we have to absolutely upskill their earning potential. That's right. That's right. You upskill their earning potential, guess what? They're able to pay more taxes, earn more money themselves, and support the social safety net. So that's another key reform that we need. I think one other thing I would love for the Democrats to do is stop calling it entitlements. This is something people paid into. It's something. It's their money. It's their money that they're getting back for having paid into the system. It'd be like me saying, you know, the money in your wallet, that's an entitlement.
Do you know that Social Security is going to be insolvent in 2035?
It is not going to be. That is not true. That is actually not true. No, it's actually not true.
Now, Joy,
it's actually
I'm a
not
finance
true.
professional.
It's actually not. But it's actually not true.
In the financial community.
That's actually not true.
That's actually not true. Will go insolvent.
That's actually not true.
Those are the facts.
That's not true.
Should we not prepare for that?
What the Republican Party and what the Tea Party have proposed is privatizing Social Security, which would actually subject Social Security to the whims of the market, which I don't think that people. That's not what they paid into.
If you look at the returns of the S&P S&P
not. That's not
500
true. That is
since
not true. That's not
2006. The returns of the S&P 500 since 2006.
You're
that
saying
includes
so you
2008.
okay?
Hold
So you
on.
support privatizing Social Security?
No, I want to explain to you. I am a financial professional. I'm securities licensed. Actually, I just lost my licenses because I'm not allowed to trade anymore because I'm a member of Congress. But let me assure you, if you look at the S&P 500 from 2006 until today, the growth rate in the S&P 500 would have more than taken care of Social Security, way more than the federal government
And
has.
each time that you had a crash, it would subject people's Social Security funds to crash. Hold on a second. So let me just hold on a second. We're not going to have a whole long thing on Social Security, but let me just be clear. You are in favor of privatizing Social Security.
No, I'm not in favor.
But you just argued for it.
I said you just brought it up, and I brought you the facts on S&P 500.
So if a bill came forward to privatize Social Security, you'd be for it?
No, because what we should be doing.
Okay, then it's a moot point.
Want to know the easiest way to tell if somebody does know what they're talking about versus what they don't know what they're talking about? They can't defend their argument. Prime example right here. That's not true. 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 You can't give any details as to why it's not true. You're also not a finance professional. You know what I would do in your case? I would shut the fuck up. That's what I would do. I would shut the fuck up if I don't know what I'm talking about. Don't try to defend your opinion. Your opinion doesn't fucking matter when it's matched up with facts. You don't know what you're talking about.
That fucking roulette degenerate
I have to say, your behavior in this interview is so disgusting. Who's wearing red, Joy? Who's wearing red in this interview, Joy? There's a few things to break down here. One is that with Byron Daniels being a financial trader, I think he knows more about the market and numbers and the movement of the market than you do, Joy. It's as if you were to walk into the doctor's office of a renowned heart surgeon, and as he's giving surgery, you say to him, "You're doing it wrong. That's not true. That's not true. You're doing it wrong." The other thing you're missing, Joy, and your point that you're saying that as if they were to privatize Social Security, well, that's not exactly a bad thing, Joy, because you know why? As the fund has been mismanaged for decades, he's trying to explain to you that maybe we could make the fund grow. There's a little risk there, right? But make it grow. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true.
They try to pretend like, no. We're not gonna cut Social Security and Medicare. We're not gonna privatize it. We're just gonna do things like raise the retirement age, which, by the way, is cutting Social Security. It is putting off your retirement because they want to cut Social Security and avoid raising taxes. Right now, the wealthy don't pay the same percentage in Social Security tax as you do. After a certain amount of income, they stop getting taxed for Social Security altogether. You know what you could do if you're really worried about funding the Social Security program? Lift that tax cap entirely. It only benefits the rich. And the rich are terrified of that happening, which is why the rich lobby politicians like Joe Manchin and members of the GOP to get the retirement age up even higher. Right now it's 67. They want it up to 70. That is a form of cutting Social Security. Don't let them lie to you.
Did they sign into law an 8% Social Security raise this year? Did the Biden administration do that for all of us? For all the people on Social Security? Did they do that this year? Let's take a look. 1972, 92-603, signed by Richard Nixon. Wasn't he a Republican? I think he was. Made it federal law that every year the Social Security Administration give a cost of living raise. So they didn't. The Democrats didn't sign that into law this year. The Republicans did back in 1972. But I know what she meant. The Democratic administration of Joe Biden increased inflation so high that it made the Social...
Say it with me. Governments are not households. They do not go into debt. They do not pay off debt. They do not default on debt the same way households do. You may have been told that Social Security and Medicare are going to go bankrupt by the time our generation can benefit from them. Who told you that? Is it possibly the people that are trying to defund and privatize Social Security and Medicare? Don't believe them. They're doing the same thing with public education. They're trying to make it so bad that they can start privatizing the public sector and profit off it. It's not like there's not enough money. We can just make it so that there's enough money for Social Security.
Democrats claim that the Republicans are going after Social Security in there.
You know, sometimes I forget that most Americans don't pay attention to anything that's going on in the background, especially when it comes to politics. When we say that Republicans are going after Social Security, Don't take a Democrat's word for it. Go look at your Republican representatives' web pages. Listen to them at their rallies, their debates. They're telling all of us that that's what they want to do. I'm sure that it's frustrating for someone on the outside to be like, well, they've been saying this ever since it was implemented and nothing's happened. But the thing is, a lot of things have been happening in the background. Republicans have been presenting bills and economic plans to strip Social Security, but Democrats have been working their asses off just to keep what we already have, let alone make anything better. Just look at Roe v. Wade, for example. Until a year ago, Republicans were saying that Democrats were just being overdramatic, but they took it, didn't they? So don't take my word for it, take theirs. They said if they take Congress, they're taking Social Security.
So you mean to tell me that the far-right Republicans in the House of Representatives are going to hold the debt ceiling hostage in order to do away with Medicare and Social Security? And you all are still not wearing a mask? During a mass disabling event, you are still not wearing a mask, knowing full well that if you are black, brown, queer, or a woman, you will not get equitable treatment in medical settings. If you're wondering why they're so aroused by the idea of getting rid of Medicare and Social Security, I want you to go to the CDC's own website and look up disability by race. And then ask yourself, what power are you putting into their hands every time you step out of the house?